Greetings, everybody. What we're going to be doing here is building a JavaScript script that will run a search through tables. And what I've done here is ran a basic table together with first name, last name, city, and state. And right now it's just HTML and CSS. So coincidentally, this doesn't do anything yet. It's just prepped up for the build. And I just want to show you the HTML first. And I'm going to have, in the future, a run search function on key up. And it's going to be based on the name search field. And basically, we're just going to run through and find out if this is the correct row. It's like any other search, basically. I remember this is something that's used quite a bit when I worked at CVS. They have tons of huge tables and they need to find something fast. So this is a very useful tool that gets used in the real world. So let's go ahead and take what we got. I'm going to run through searchable table. And we want to first build out something on load. So basically, I'll just do this. All right, first off, let's number the rows so we can identify them. I'm going to do a for each and go through all the elements that are within this class. Basically all the table rows. And I need to apply an attribute called data row, and I'll just have a number to identify it as unique. And this will be something that I would recommend anytime you need to grasp hold of something that doesn't have a super easy identifier. Number it first with a loop like this. And then from there you can identify it much easier, and then you can really bring your hooks and power into it. Because otherwise you're kind of counting on things like CSS identifiers as like, oh, hey, this is the third or fourth child, or it's odd or even, and it can get messy. So my advice is to first label your HTML elements once they load. And there you start running what you want to do. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build an object named table object. It's going to be identifiable by the rows, but it's also going to be identifiable, but I'm going to take all the inner HTML from all the TDs. So like within a table there you have a TD that lives within a table row. So the TR, and then there'll be a TD child, multiple, as you can see. So we got to go through and merge all that HTML together as one so we can find out what it's built with. And that's what we're going to do here. So what I'm going to do now that I've labeled everything and built an object that has empty strings for the data string in each one of them, now I'm going to go up and fill that empty string with what it currently has. So I go through each data row, and as you can see here in a second, I've got to put the TD here. And so we pummel through all of these, and we gather the HTML, and we want to make a string for each one of them. Yeah, so basically we want to go through our table object because it's going to have the right amount of labeling our identifiers already. And it will know which ones we're working with. So we're going to nest, and within this for loop, we're going to nest this for each, and we're going to build out a string. So once we get into each one of these objects, we're going to know what all the inner HTML is based on that string. As you can see here, we're going to identify it. Then we're going to go through every TD within this table row. And we're going to merge all the HTML into one string and then put it into that object within that iteration. So it's identifiable. Basically, every iteration within that object represents one element of the table. And it's kind of virtual. And if you're thinking abstractly, it makes more sense. Now you can do it by like putting an attribute of the string within the element, and that's fine too, but I'm doing it this way. And so now within this object, we have a virtual identifier and all the content of each table. There's a little bit of syntax I got to fix here. It's basically, I didn't hit query selector all. So give me a second while I tidy that piece up. Yeah, it's still doing it. I'll figure it out in a second. There we go. And just need to get a proof that this is working here, and as you can see it is. Now I do have some spaces in there which I don't really want in my HTML strings. It's fine, but I don't want them. And I also need to make sure that we all know when you're doing comparisons, it's important that we bring everything down to lowercase. So when I build this run search function, you'll realize why. So let's go ahead and write the function run search. And we're going to go ahead and tell it that the search term we're looking for is going to be typed within the search field over here called, or it's a named search field. And that's the value of it, will be the search term we're looking for. So basically, what I'm going to do is go through all of my search tables again and add them to hide. Once we start typing, you'll see why. Now, they're all hidden. So coincidentally, when you start typing, you can't see anything. But this happens so fast that humans wouldn't even notice it anyway. So once they start matching up, we start removing hide. So I'm going to go through the table object. We're identifying things by the iteration number, in which case we both know that the elements also have an identifier that matches this iteration number. And therefore, when I do a comparison of the strings, I can find out whether there's anything on that row that matches the search. Because we combined all the HTML into one string. Because we're just looking for everything in that row. So it's just, to me, one string. It doesn't need to make sense as far as literally or legibly. The computer doesn't care. It's looking for a match of characters. So let's go ahead and fix the one detail here. It's too lowercase, so that they're all going to match no matter what the person's typing in. And so we don't have any spaces and everything's lowercase. And here we go. As you can see, we have a searchable table. We can find anybody from Texas to Pennsylvania to specific human beings to whatever we want. I hope you learned something today.